these are palettes that I literally look at like, what was I thinking when I brought these palettes? It made no sense. Like my friends were like, why would you get a palette like that? That's what I'm saying. Like I literally look at it like, what happened? Did I get caught up in some hype? Did I forget what skin tone I had? Like, it's just, what was I thinking? These palettes made no sense to be in my collection whatsoever. So let's get started. So the first palette I'm just gonna pick them up. There's no order. We're just gonna pick them up. So the first one is this Nudie Patootie palette. So this is from Laura Lee. And you know, it's funny because I think when this palette came out, I don't even think I was a subscriber of hers even. Like, I don't even know. Like, I think I watched her, you know, I watched her in her beginnings, I think. But when this palette came out, I feel like I wasn't watching her. I feel like the people I was watching were giving her a shot and saying this was a decent palette. And I was drawn to this shade here. This was the shade I think I got drawn to. And like the shimmers in the palette, I was like, oh, okay. And my thought process was, I can make it work. But if you look at this palette is too damn light for me. It is not dark skin friendly at all. Like, I mean, it's literally a new palette that I got to bring in another palette for. I just do not know what I was thinking getting this palette. It makes no sense that this is in my collection. As far as like, if you look at this palette, you would never think I own this palette. Like, it just makes no sense that it's in my collection. And yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. And I mean, are the shades awful, whatnot? Yeah, no, it's not bad, but it's just like, I don't even pick up this palette because I just know, like, you know, I'm only gonna pick it up. I'm gonna grab another. These are just cool toned, and it's just, you can just look at, like, it made no sense that I brought this palette. And I take full responsibility for my purchases. I'm just saying, tease me, come on. I get teased all the time about this. I made no sense buying this palette. So yeah, you know, do I use it? Of course I'm gonna use it, but it makes no sense to be in my collection. But I make it work because I brought it. I brought it. It is what it is. I'm going to use it, but it just makes no sense. Let me get off of that one. So the next one we have is No Better. It actually probably is getting worse. I know. So this is the Too Faced White Chocolate Bar palette. What? Yeah, so if you know how the inside of this looks, it makes no sense in me buying this palette. This palette, you know, and it's funny because I do have pastel palettes that work okay with me, but this palette is the formula is so bad that this is this chalk. This is just chalk. And I think what I thought was like, you know what, I have some pastel palettes, you know, in my collection. You know, I have a Lorac pastel palette. I have, I think it's the Mega 4, which is really light and it works fine. I have the Pastel Golf. So a little of me has some type of logic behind it versus this one. I just feel like there was no logic behind it. This one I kind of was like, you know what? I have some light palettes and I get tons of compliments on it. You know, I can make a light palette work if I really wanted to, but the formula on this is so bad. It is literally, it's worse than chalk. Sidewalk chalk would look better on my eye than this. I mean, it just would. So yeah, no sense. I have this in my collection. I have this in the collection. I probably even should get rid of it, but the collector side of me also, I have every single Too Faced palette in this tin type of thing, like the large one, not the little ones. I didn't get into those, but the tin, I have every single one. So I think that the collector and me kicked in as well. So I think that's another reason why, I know that's probably another reason why I got that palette. All right, so the next one we're gonna get into is this one. So this is the Kat Von D Saint and Center palette. I'm sure you've seen this one. So one side is the center side, the other side is the sin. I told myself not to buy this palette. I swear, when the photos and stuff came out, I was like, I'm not getting this palette. This makes no sense. I'm not getting this palette. Then one of my favorite YouTubers was like, this palette is so good, blah, blah, blah. That's just, what was I? YouTubers have such influence. So I I got this palette. This is what the inside looks like. And when I got this, I just don't have enough experience for this. You know, if people are saying you can make this work, at the time I really didn't have, when I came into makeup late, first off. So when this came out, I just didn't even have the eye to look at this and be like, okay, that goes with this and that goes with that. I just didn't even have that. And even if I did, now I kind of have more of an eye for makeup as far as like, okay, I can make with this and this and this and this. Looking at this, I just can't. I just can't. Like, really, now that I look at it, I'm like, okay, it's really just a bunch of shimmers and only a few mattes. Now that I look at it, you know, and I think before I just didn't have the eyes to even look at it that way, but it's really only, I think this is a matte, these are mattes, and maybe this black is a matte. Everything else, well, this is, I think, a matte with shimmer in it, I think is what they call it. But when I look at everything else, it's more of a shimmer or a glitter type of formula with this. And yeah, like when this came out, I just had no business with my experience with makeup to even mess around with this. And so even now I think about it, I don't pull this palette out because it's just like, I don't feel like thinking that hard. I don't want to think that hard about makeup when I'm getting ready. Like what was I doing? Like, you know, what was I doing? I don't know. And I should have just went with my gut. And hopefully if you learned anything from this video, is just like, trust your gut. If out the gate you look at something and it's just like, no, don't let people review it and make you think otherwise. You know yourself better than anybody else, okay? So let's talk about this one. So, oh, we're better together. So I got this one. Actually, I was just in a Sephora and they only had, I think, 1 or 2 of these left. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cute. It's a heart and it comes apart. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, and that was over. So then I got home with it and I think this was like $65. And I think what I was drawn to it, I thought it was just such a good deal. So you had like the palette, and I think it came with a full size mascara and a eyeliner from her. So there was so many things wrong. I can't do wings. I mean, I'm sure if I really tried and practiced, I could do a wing, but I can't do a wing. So that was kind of a waste to get that. Love the mascara. I love Too Faced mascara. I know a lot of people don't, but this side of this palette, look at me. Look at this. Look at me. Look at this. It's just, I had no business getting, these shades are just like this. This is probably the worst shade in this palette by far. So it is just the most pale, patchy eyeshadow ever. And I had no business getting this palette. So technically the way I look at it, and I like this side. I'm sure a lot of people like this side. This is what this side looks like. So I do like this side, use this side plenty of times, love that. But that means I paid, this side is technically worth $30. And would I have paid $30 for this? No. So yeah, this didn't make any sense. It makes no sense, but yeah, it's in my collection. Made no sense. All right, so the next one, we're kind of going to go into Too Faced back to back, just so you guys know. This is called the Life's a Festival palette. So a couple of things. Yeah, when I show you the inside, you're gonna be like, what the hell are you doing with this palette? So I was a huge Care Bear fan and a Rainbow Bright fan growing up. Like those 2 cartoons and movies, because I know Care Bears came out with a movie and Rainbow Bright was a movie as well. Oh my God, did I love that. So this instantly made me think of Rainbow Bright in Care Bears. So the packaging sold me, right? So I didn't even care what the inside looks like. I weren't even calling it the Life of the Festival palette. I think I was just calling my Care Bear Rainbow Bright palette. So here's the inside of this palette. And now what I will say about this palette is that I can make this palette work, because this is kind of going back to like these type of palettes, like it's really light actually, but it actually will look good on my skin tone. It's fine, but technically in my eyes, it's an all shimmer palette, and I am not good with all shimmer palettes. Like I like to pick up a palette and know that everything I need is in that palette. Like whatever matte I need to do my V, all that stuff. I'm not really a huge fan of shimmers in the crease. They just don't look too good on me, because I kind of, my eye goes down. What you call it? I have hooded eyes, right? So putting shimmers in here, it just ain't it, because it's already that I have to, it creases right there anyway. Hear my frustration, do you? Anyway, so this palette, it has two mattes. I think it's this pink one and this one are the two mattes. This is more like I think this is supposed to be a matte, but it's more like I don't know what they call it. Not a shimmer, but I don't know what this, a satin matte or something like that. So overall, I mean, I can make looks with it, but it's hard for me to grab this palette. And I literally just got this when I happened to be walking in Ulta, and I was like, oh my God, look at the packaging, it's so cute. It weren't about a review. It wasn't about anything else. It was just because of the packaging. Made no sense of me buying this. I could have done without this palette. I'm gonna make it work, but it made no sense for me to buy it. Another one, you're gonna notice a theme. A lot of the stuff other than the Nudie Patootie palette is literally like, it wasn't based off reviews. Well, some of it is, but for the most part, it's like me just walking into a store and seeing it and me buying it off an impulse, versus majority of my palettes, like I look at reviews and stuff like that. But these are just like, oh, I looked at it and I was like, oh, let me get it. This one. So this is the Too Faced 20th anniversary. So it's 20 years worth of crap in here. And what I did with this palette was I loved this. Like, again, packaging. Because this said Too Faced the way it was. And all I thought about was like old Tom and Jerry, Top Cats, like just these old cartoons. What was the other one? Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Like all of that came to me when I saw this, and I was like, that is such cool artwork. I really like that. And it's glitter. Oh, hell yeah. I got so excited. And then somebody in Sephora was like, oh my God, it's so nice, blah, blah, blah. The inside of that palette. And what's so bad about this is it's really just a huge shimmer palette, and we just talked about me and shimmer palettes, right? So I think in this thing it's only maybe 2 mattes, maybe 3. I think these are the 3 mattes in this palette. This one, and this one. Everything else is shimmers. So I don't like shimmers like that, right? So I'm definitely not going to pick up this big old palette for shimmers. So this is really hard for me to work with. The other thing is I got a couple of other Too Faced palettes that have these shimmers in them in a regular palette. So for me to even get this, it's kind of like, well, I have another palette that have these colors in it. So it was just so stupid. It made no sense to me buying this palette. And, you know, it just made no sense. It makes no sense. I shouldn't have got this palette. I don't know what I was thinking. Okay, I'm just getting more frustrated. All right, so the next one, we were gonna finish it up with Morphe, okay? So there is a couple of Morphe palettes that I have brought, and I promise you I have not used. It made no sense to me buying it. I don't know what I was thinking. So here we go. So the first one is this 35F palette. I brought this one because at the time I was like, oh my God, you know, this is an easy, you know, everyday palette, you know, and I think it's like this whole row is mattes and these are all shimmers. I never pick up this palette. I don't know why. This is one of those, was an Instagram picture. So it looked so good in the photo. And I thought these shimmers would be so more rich, and they just not. So it's just really hard for me to pick up. And then I just forget because this packaging is just like this hard, you know, you can't see it. So I don't even be knowing what's in here. So I would have to, I don't even know that this is inside of it anyway. So typically, like, you know, if I was doing like a maroon look, I would probably pick up one of my Anastasia palettes and stuff like that. So it's just, I had no sense buying it. You know, I got stuck into the Instagram promo pictures of it, but you know, I just don't use this palette. The next one was this one. Okay, this is the 39 A Dare to Create palette, and I think I got this palette. I feel like I set an alarm for this palette and got it at launch because it was so huge, and I was like, oh my god, this is so big and awesome. And again, the promo pictures looked really cool. So this is the front. I'm sure you guys have seen this palette, and this palette is freaking huge. I think I got drawn to thinking about the promo pictures. I probably got drawn to these colors. Were the colors I got drawn to, and you know, my looks don't come out too great with this, and I'm just kind of like, I got drawn into the promo pictures with this one, but I think I forgot I even had this palette to even know how to work few formulas and stuff. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, I just feel like I shouldn't have got this palette. It made no sense of me getting this palette. And then the only palette I really like a lot is the Jaclyn Hill palette. So I think I kept, I don't know what I was thinking. So then after this year, I still didn't know my lesson. I got this guy's palette, all right? Because everyone hyped it. I think I really got caught into the hype, but I had no business buying this palette. I have not touched this palette. I think, yeah, this palette looks untouched. So you guys know what this palette looks like. I mean, I don't even have to go into what it looks like. And I think I got drawn to this pink corner over here. But it's just like, it's so big. I can't even, I have to use like my whole desk to use it. So I can't even get, like, I would have to dab and then like move all close to my mirror and stuff like that. So yeah, this was a really, I don't know what I was thinking getting this palette. I think I got caught up in the hype, and I shouldn't have got caught up in the hype. It was not the smartest move for me to make. So those are all the palettes that I have no sense buying. You know, I just don't know what I was thinking. And hopefully you guys have some too that you can share. So hopefully you like this video. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe please subscribe. I would appreciate it. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.